Click subscribe to get daily Manchester United content from Passionate Reds, only on All for United.
Hello and welcome to All for United with me, John Foster, MUFC. Got plenty to talk about tonight. Some interesting stuff, some fun stuff, some educational stuff. We've got a lot going on tonight. So I think what we'll do is we'll do like the serious stuff maybe first, and then we'll do a few jokey things at the end. Thanks for everyone joining me tonight. Let's just say hello to everybody first. Reece, how you doing, mate?
I'm good, John. Thanks for inviting me on. It's a bit of an impromptu invite, so pleased to be on. So yeah, thanks to the rest of the guys as well. So yeah, pleased to be here.
No problem. I look forward to these shows. It's a bit more relaxing and we don't get into too much of a debate, even though it is there to have a debate, and with it being a Friday night as well, as Andrew just reminded me, it is a weekend now, so you guys obviously feel that. I don't work in retail. I don't really have a weekend as such, but I am on a week off, so I'm drinking myself, which is great. Andrew, you okay, mate?
Yeah, all good. Thanks for having me back on.
Always a pleasure, mate. John, it's been at least an hour and a half since we've just done a show together.
I'm very well. It was an epic first show, wasn't it? On the Women's Channel. If you haven't watched it, give it a watch. It was brilliant. And yeah, I'm sure this one will be just as good, I'm sure. So.
Awesome. Yeah. Stu, you had a good week, mate?
Yeah, I have actually. Yeah, I had a quite a nice business lunch today down in the sun in Huntington. So always a winner. So yeah, not too bad. Not too bad. I've got a fun topic for later.
Yes.
So stay tuned.
Yeah, you're going to talk about your balls.
My yes, okay, my balls. Yeah.
I think Vicky wants to start off with that topic. You okay, Vicky?
Yeah, I'm okay.
Good stuff, mate. Good stuff. Okay, let's make a start with the subject on the thumbnail then. Vicky, you obviously thought of this one at the start of the week. I think it's a good topic to discuss about our youngsters. Vicky, did you want to talk more about the actual players themselves, or when's the right time to bring them in, or are you thinking more about this season or next season under the new manager? What are your thoughts about the youngsters?
I actually just picked the 3 youthful players that I thought that Eric Ten Hag might find interesting in the future.
Okay.
So I think with everything that's going on, we've got the Youth FA Cup in 5 days' time, which you can go there for £1, which is pretty amazing. But yeah, I have excuse me, Hannibal. Yeah, Hannibal.
Yeah.
He's a Tunisian player. Sorry.
You carry on.
Sorry.
No, it's all right. I was going to blame Barry because we were looking at Barry's face earlier and laughing, but Barry's not on the show, so I don't know.
Interestingly enough, right, they all call him Hannibal anyway. Nobody calls him Benchbury, do they? They all call him Hannibal. No. So you're good to go, Vic. You're good to go.
Just Hannibal, yeah.
Yeah, and I think he's the one that's going to impress Eric Ten Hag the most, because he is a very high-pressing, very fast player. He's very quick from box to box kind of sort of play, and you will find him all over the pitch. I think where he's only made that debut during the Liverpool game, which he was the only one that seemed to actually want to show any fight. So that I've quite thinking that he's going to be one of the first people that is going to come on as a youth player. Yeah. And then I think Alejandro Garnacho, he obviously made his debut for the 0-0 game. Yeah. On like the 89th minute or something stupid, wasn't it? Where he came on for Elanga. But anyway, he's scored three goals? No, that's the wrong person. Oh my God, I've got to stop. Oh, it's a 1-1 thing against Chelsea. See, this is me being but he likes sticking near to the goal. So he would actually have like sort of like the Ronaldo form of play where they would really have to sort of feed him the ball. He would have to have a really good partnership with whoever, I guess Bruno. So yeah, I feel like he would be like that. I think that's why you've seen Garnacho been like sort of led quite well with Ronaldo, where he gave him the ball after his hat trick, etc. So I'd imagine that he's asking lots of advice, lots of encouragement from Ronaldo, which I think is pretty damn amazing to actually, when you hear that other players that aren't listening to Ronaldo, he's got something that probably keeps him like entertained in the football industry right now. Because let's face it, it must be really frustrating to be Ronaldo, not the problem Ronaldo. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then other than that, it is Charlie McNeil, who's he's 17, but he's 18 in a few months' time. Yeah, but he's done really, really well. He is a centre forward, and he likes tackling because he's got quite a few bookings already. But he's the one who scored 3 goals in 5 games, so that's really good for the FA Cup Youth final. That's me finished. Sorry,
I mean, just to back Vicky up there a little bit as well, John, because I've been quite keen on this last few weeks, and Stu and John will back me up on this a little bit because I've been screaming to get the kids in on these last few games this season. So totally, I mean, just to kind of touch on each of them, Hannibal. I mean, they're all different types of players, aren't they? Guys, you know, they bring so much excitement. I think individually, and I think obviously they've all worked really, really well together. So just to back Vicky up, I think each one of them have got a massive part to play for us next season. I mean, McNeil, really, funnily enough, I think he's had a really good season with the under-18s, but he seems to be not the one that we're all talking about. It's either Shoretiri or Hannibal or Garnacho or, you know, Fernandez. It doesn't seem to be McNeil so much that the one that we've all talked about. So, you know, I think we've just been linked. I saw a link today on the Twitter page about has been linked to. God, was it like Nick? I can't pronounce his name. And it was an 18-year-old kid anyway. I think it was about 9 million we were linked to this kid, 18-year-old. And I just thought, why when we've got McNeil? We've got McNeil. Yes, he's 17, but why have been linked to an 18-year-old kid when we've got a 17-year-old, nearly 18-year-old kid who's firing on all cylinders? So, yeah, no, I back Vicky up. I think that's something I've been a massive advocate for the last 3 or 4 weeks, really, to start seeing these kids coming into this team.
I don't feel like they should like appear in the last 2 matches. If they are for the last 20 minutes, I'd imagine, because I feel like this team isn't really worth trying to bring on the youth. I don't think the players could carry it very well because one thing is that they'll do is they'll run rings around the current players, and you know, and I just don't think that, like, they always talk about the dressing room. I don't think the dressing room is going to be a good situation to bring on young players. I feel like it would be showing how not to be. That's the only reason I don't see the youth coming into the squad right now. That and Rangnick's just trying to just show Erik ten Hag, I think, all the problems so we can start solving some.
I mean, sorry, I'm just, if anybody else wants to jump in over me, please do. I'm just quite keen on this subject as well, so I'm pleased.
Yeah, I was just going to say this. We won't see any youth this weekend because of the Youth Cup final anyway. You're not going to risk any injuries. You need to keep that squad together if you're going to go ahead and win. So that's the first thing. The second thing is, Vicky makes a point about Garnacho coming in against Chelsea. The first thing Rudiger did was tap him on his shoulder, and then give him a quick ruffle of the hair, and then another tap on the shoulder. And what that is designed to do, and I've done it myself when young kids have come on. I've just been there, and I've done a quick shove, quick tap on the shoulder. All right, mate, I promise I won't hurt you. That type of thing. And actually, if you looked at his face, immediately he's like, "Oh, bollocks." Would you be doing that, Stu?
Would you be doing that, Stu, though, if he knocked it through your legs and ran around the other side? I don't think he'd be ruffling his head too much if he.
Well, the problem is if he'd done that to me, and here's the problem with football, because if he'd done that to me, I would have then lifted him up and shoved him in row Z. And that's what happens in football, because I had an instance years ago. I was about 35. I was in the twilight of my career, and I was playing a beautiful summer's day out in Wenlock, and I got this wiry little 18-year-old. He was coming at me with the ball, and he absolutely destroyed me, battered me, left me for dead, put a cross in, they got a goal. And he run back to me, past me, and he says, "Come on, old man," and all this kind of nonsense. His missus and her friends were there laughing and screaming. I just thought to myself, just give me that 1 inch, sunshine. All I need is that 1 inch. I'm gonna fucking have it. Didn't see him for about 20 minutes for whatever reason. The play had gone over. Anyway, cut long story short, he comes at me again, and he tries to do these step overs, but he got his back two studs caught in the ball, and it just knocked it forward slightly. Well, of course, next thing you know, I'm in, bang, and I've hit him as hard as I fucking can. We're taking the ball at the same time. I mean, luckily, I was pretty lucky because the ball had kind of ricocheted off and hit. I won't say what happened, but it hit his girlfriend in the face accidentally. So it was a bit of a 2-for-1 special, as you say. But the thing is, and I remember saying to him as I'm like lifting him up, and he's like all flopped down out. And I remember saying to him, I said, "You have to show respect on a football pitch, mate, otherwise you get hurt." And I remember dropping him, and I didn't see him then for the rest of the game. And that's what happens with youth. So that all Rudiger's doing is just letting him know, look, I need you to turn around. Lucky you're up against sunshine, and we need players on the pitch that will allow them not to worry about a Rudiger, about a Van Dijk, about a Basuma, that type of thing. But we don't have that. We don't have these players like a Roy Keane, like a Paul Ince, like a Steve Bruce, like a Rio Ferdinand, like a Jaap Stam, who will go and protect our young lads. And this is my big worry with this squad. They're a bunch of namby-pambies. They really are, all of them. They're just either too nice or they're scared. I mean, when was the last time, really, anyone on this panel can tell me when one of our players put an absolute cruncher in of a tackle?
And I watched it.
Probably McTominay against Leicester, and he could have got sent off.
Yeah, and that was what? 6
That
games
was
ago?
4 weeks ago or something.
Yeah,
It wasn't. I mean, Bruno did one. I went to the Chelsea game. Bruno put one in on. I can't remember. I think it was Mount, but it wasn't. It was all right. It wasn't a cruncher necessarily. We put a sliding, But yeah, I get your point. I get your point, really, Stu.
I think Wan-Bissaka did a few times at Leeds, didn't it? But yeah, I get your point.
It should be every game. It should be 3, 4, 5 tackles every game. And when you're bringing youth on and you're looking to look after a young lad, he needs to be able to look around and say, well, if I get felled here, someone's going to have my back. And we just haven't got that. And it's really important I know people will say you're talking rubbish, but actually for development, it really is a necessity. So that would be my biggest thing.
Yeah, and I think equally, I think with those players you've mentioned as well, that they were all sort of ready-made players, weren't they? That knew their game, who were playing well at the top of the game as well. And obviously, this United team isn't at that standard, is it? So it's all right, sort of trying to coach and assist young players through, but if you've got like a Maguire or somebody like that who's obviously a bit of bad form, it's difficult to try and put your arm around a Garnacho and say, come on, lad, you need to do a little bit better, or you need to do this, because he's looking around going, well, bloody hell, you lot are not exactly performing well either, to be fair. So, no, it's, I totally get your point, Stu. Yeah, it's a difficult environment to come in as a young player, isn't it? But there is some promising little stars in that team, in that under 18s, isn't there?
We got some great players. I mean, Charlie McNeil's goal scoring exploits are just ridiculous at youth level for his age. Absolutely ridiculous. Garnacho looks like he's got an ability to make the Argentine national side at any age is something to really embrace. So it looks like he's got something about him. And as for Hannibal, we know the qualities he's got. So I think you'll see more under Ten Hag. I think Ten Hag will trust them more. I think you'll see a lot of them get some kind of game time in pre-season for sure. And I would like to see next season 1 or 2 get a chance. Certainly in the cups.
It resembles. It was funny actually because sorry, John, were you going to say something?
No, carry on.
No.
Yeah. It was funny actually because I was watching a bit of, for some reason I don't know why, but I was kind of catching up a little bit on Ravel Morrison's sort of highlights this week. I don't know why I did. I just decided to do it. Kind of one of those things that just cropped up in my mind. And that youth team back in 08 that won the 08-09 was it that won the John will pick me up on this whether they won the youth cup that year. I think that was it a bit long. I mean, Pogba was in that team, wasn't he? And it had some great players that came through. Will Keane was in that team, I believe, as well.
I actually went to school with Ravel Morrison actually, and Lingard was part of it. Interestingly, Harry Maguire was on Sheffield United's side as well.
Oh, right, yeah. So there was some, and you can look at that team and think, did those kids prosper out of that team and really sort of flourish? And I suppose you can maybe argue Pogba did, but then did he really? Looking at the kind of the way it's gone and the way that it ended, it's difficult to say, isn't it? And that's what we've got to be careful of as well, I suppose, isn't it? As well.
Well, interesting. I think Connor's comment coming up that him and Benny have that Tony on, who's obviously an expert and so on, and he says, well, actually, that 2011 youth team actually had more international caps than what our class of 92 did, which is interesting, and but yeah, like you say, not many of them had a fruitful career. Obviously Pogba was probably the one where you could say yes at international level, maybe at club level he hasn't really done it and that kind of thing. But as Scott mentioned, 50,000 for the Youth Cup final is a tremendous.
Ridiculous.
I think apparently 5,000 of them are for Forest fans as well. And that's good of them to come all the way up from Nottingham for that. But in terms of some of the players. What we haven't mentioned is Alvaro Fernandez as well. The left back. He's
can't defend. He's great going forward, but he can't.
Yeah. So he's one that is interesting because I went to the Champions League youth cup game against Borussia Dortmund a couple of months ago, and he's a tremendous threat going forward. But like Stu said, defensively, he's maybe not up to it. But I think, I think Ten Hag will try and get some of them in the team. But obviously, as Stu's mentioned many times, there's a massive gap between the under-23s and the first team. Actually, just stepping up from the under-23 just to solely train with the first team is a massive step in itself. That's even before you introduce them to, playing first team football and that kind of thing. It's also interesting that the way I have it, also you got to think players we have on loan at the moment. You have your Lairds and your what's the name of Ghana and that kind of thing. What I have specifically with that is most of them are in like the Championship. Most of them are like playing in Scotland, like Diallo and that kind of thing. If you really want to develop them, I'd like to see maybe one or two of them, maybe if they are deemed to be good enough, could you get them playing for a team, a bit low in the Premier League, perhaps, and that way you might be able to see how they do against, the top teams and that kind of thing. Obviously, we'll probably get into Europe, probably the Europa League next season. That'll be maybe an opportunity to bring a couple of them in to get them used to European football. Also, you got the 5 substitute rule as well coming back into the Premier League as well. So if you winning a game, 3-0 up with 20 minutes to go or something, then you might see a couple of them get on. But I think Vicky, the ones she's mentioned, have certainly got promise, but they obviously need to develop physically, and you've got to ease them in. You can't rush them in a lots of people say you might as well play the roof. If you do that, you'll get absolutely hammered every game, and you can't destroy their career. You got to ease them in. I think Ten Hag is in many ways the perfect person. He's used to the way Ajax do it. They introduce people to their team so they get used that kind of thing. And I think he'll like to work closely with the youth team to make sure they develop properly. And if they are good enough, he'll obviously give them an opportunity in the first team. But yeah, you got to be patient with them. You can't rush them, but you've got to, like you say, allow their talent to flourish if they are good enough. So, but yeah, they do need to develop physically before they become regular starters or opportunities in the first team.
I want to just bring Andrew in on it as well before we move on. I would like to say this though, like at the start or the end of last season, if we've asked the same question, we would have come up with 3 names and 3 names that would deserve to be shouted out. This summer we've come up with 3 names, and potentially next summer we could come up with 3 more names. Is there a fear there that we might be like losing out on this talent and they get to a certain level and they don't develop? If that's the case, what can we do different? I think the answer is obviously a new manager, which is obviously what we've got now. I think that's potentially a change. But I'd hate to keep on highlighting how good some of these players are and then never actually seeing them come through. Are you kind of seeing that as well, Andrew?
Yeah, sort of similar view as well. Like I said, not every youth player is going to make it through into the first team. I agree with Vicky in terms of like Garnacho and Hannibal. I think they can be the ones to make it through, and just some other names. And it'd be interesting to see what happens with them, like Palestri as well. I know he's had a few struggles at Alaves, and he's been regularly in the Uruguayan side. So he was quite impressive in the pre-season last season. So whether Ten Hag will see anything in him, he might give him some of the pre-season games. Also, the young right back, Mark Gerardo, so he could be in line for an opportunity as well. Obviously, Wan-Bissaka and Dello have not been that convincing this season. So, and from what I've been reading about Gerardo, he's been quite impressive during the FA Youth Cup run. So, I think something that Ten Hag could utilise Gerardo in the right back role as well. Also, Shola Shoretire. So it'd be interesting to see what happens to him, whether he goes out on loan or be given the chance in pre-season to impress. But yeah, say we're known for producing youth, but say whether they go on to be in the first team or they go on to have careers at other football clubs. But say not everyone's going to make it. So, but it'll be interesting to see which ones do step up and which ones Ten Hag feels like the ones that can go forward with.
Go on, Reece. I can see you want to come in. Can you also kind of maybe like tie that one in as well about getting the players adjusted to the senior level? That kind of ties in with what I wanted to ask you as well, Reece.
Were you talking to me there, John? Was that right?
Yes, sorry, mate.
Yeah. Yeah, it's tough, isn't it? Obviously, you don't want to waste the talent. And I think when the trouble that you have with, I think Chelsea have kind of had this, haven't they, recently, where they've tried to bring in youth, and I think Tammy Abraham's been the biggest kind of example of that, where it's he's clearly a talented kid. And I think with the right sort of level of coaching, the right manager coming in, believing in him, all that kind of stuff, really. He would have prospered, and I think he's showing that over at Roma. Okay, is Serie A the same level as the Premier League? No, it's not. But he's clearly a talented kid, and I think you do need to give these kids a chance and pay faith in them, and go through the kind of turmoil that you'll have with young kids where they won't perform every week, but they've got some ability there. Can Man United take that time to wait for that to happen? I think we have to a degree, but not entirely, like a lower league club would, or a team further down the league. So it's tough, and you are going to waste talent. Talent's either going to be sold or it's going to be loaned out, and you have got to take the best from the cream from the crop, haven't you? Really, which is probably the players that Vicky sort of mentioned earlier on, and the rest of them are really good as well. I forget the kid in the centre midfield as well who plays plays in that team, but he's absolutely brilliant. And I think he set up 2 of the goals in that Youth Cup semi-final against Wolves. But it's tough, John, isn't it? I think, you know, you'd love to see that a lot of them come through and flourish, and the reality of it is it's probably not going to happen. But you do want to see 1 or 2 of them. I mean, Stu mentioned about injuries in the Youth Cup final next week as well, and is Hannibal in that? Is Hannibal really playing a part in that team? I'm not sure if he's really necessarily in that team, is he? Obviously, it's the under 18s, isn't it? So he's kind of a little bit older than that. So he could still play a part in these next 2 games as well for us. And it's just. I mean, personally, I would love to see them start coming through. I said it in some of the sort of pre-matches that we've had in the past and the post-match reactions that I don't think we've got anything to lose, especially towards the end of the season. But I don't think we've shown enough faith in the youth over the last decade, and I think we need to do it a little bit more. So, yeah.
Obviously, it was Vicky's topic, so if you just want to maybe finish up on what you kind of heard the guys say, is there anything that you kind of agree with there or disagree with?
Oh, I think everyone made interesting parts of that conversation, and I'm very glad that we all got to discuss it. Really enjoyed all your opinions. I just completely agree to the fact that we don't give you a bit more of a chance, but you know, come September it's a clean slate, it's a new way of thinking, and let's fingers crossed it goes well for them.
And to me, when I think about giving them a chance, it's more than just 1 or 2 games. You got to have a run of games, haven't you? You know, I remember when Brandon Williams first started. Brandon Williams first started about 2 or 3 Christmases ago. He kind of got lucky because Luke Shaw was injured or suspended at the time, and Ethan Laird was injured at the time. So we had his call up, but I think he had about 3 or 4 months where he did really, really well. And then obviously after then, I think maybe some of the defenders kind of caught him out a little bit, and you haven't really seen much of him since. But at least he had a period of games there where we could kind of assess him a little bit. What I hate to see is just people, players just coming on once or twice here and there with different players around them, or even playing in a cup game where they're surrounded by players who are probably on the way out of the game as opposed to being in the prime. That to me, I don't think that works. I think it needs to be a settled team, and hopefully next season we'll have that settled starting 11, or at least we know 13 or 14 of the starting 11 every week, and then I think that would really help them, and I think we can really assess them then. We've got to move on. We're halfway through the show already. John, do you want to bring in your topic, mate?
Yeah, I wanted to bring up the topic. Obviously, Jim Ratcliffe expressed his interest in Chelsea Football Club. Obviously, he's a United fan. Research, I think he's worth just short of $15 billion. And basically, it leads on from obviously a few weeks ago, some of us were talking about the Glazer protests. And I think Stu mentioned about if you were most Manchester United supporters, just how you could get some potential interested buyers to maybe put a bit of pressure on the Glazers and that kind of thing. And this is where I was thinking this afternoon about Jim Ratcliffe. It doesn't look like he's going to buy Chelsea, but he said that when he was interviewed by Dan Ronan at the BBC, he's like, "Oh, United's on for sale." Now, I don't personally. I think any business is up for sale for the right price, and that's an important part of the right price. And I think, looking at it, if you were Manchester United Supporters Trust, would you possibly look at discussing with Jim about if he was interested in buying the club, how much he might be willing to offer, how much of his own money he'd be willing to invest in the club, whether fan ownership could be, not fan ownership, but fans have a say in certain decisions and that kind of thing. And, just basic discussions to begin with, just to see whether there is an interest there, if there potentially could be a sale. whether Jim might be interested in it, and maybe if he is interested, they could possibly look at going back to Glazer saying, "Oh, well, you know, this Jim might be interested in buying the club for this amount, for this, would you be interested in that kind of thing?" So I think that's something that I thought we could maybe discuss on the show tonight.
Stu, do you want to comment on that one? Not the comment on screen, by the way.
No, I don't. Well, yeah. It's one of those, isn't it? We all want the club sold. There's no two ways about it. We took a bit of stick, didn't we, last week with regards to us not apparently understanding the significance of 1958. You've got to be pretty moronic for anyone to accuse anyone of that. I mean, they're just idiots, aren't they, these people? Which is ironic as well, because they're actually looking for clicks, which kind of makes me laugh even more. But anyway, that's a side issue I'll bring up tomorrow night. And the biggest problem we've got is Chelsea's sale price. And I've said this before, and I'll keep hammering the same. Chelsea's sale price of $3 billion basically means that we have a market value of about 5 billion. And for someone who to fork out 5 billion quid debt free, you know, without any kind of leverage or debt attached to it, it's impossible. Even if you ask Jim Radcliffe, he's also going to want a 3 billion sell-on price. He's going to want make at least 3 billion profit on this. So effectively makes it an 8 billion round up kind of deal. And then within that 5 billion price tag, he's then perhaps got to invest another $750 million on the stadium and also our training centre at Carrington. So you're almost effectively looking at maybe a whole turnaround of 9 billion. So if somebody buys us for 5, how on earth is going to want to put an extra 3 billion on top and buy us for 8 in maybe 10 years' time? And this is what you've got to consider. And it's all right, protests, everybody's got a right to protest. I agree with them, providing they're peaceful. Everybody's got a right to target certain things. I know certain elements want to starve the club of finance. That's absolutely fine. But still, there's going to be a market cap of around 5 billion quid for our club. And there is only a finite amount of people in the world who can afford 5 billion quid without refinancing or taking some kind of debt on. And that is our biggest problem. And if we do, and he's probably right, Brendan's right, we might be worth 6 billion, we might be worth double what Chelsea's worth. Chelsea have screwed the football market up twice now. First, when Abramovich came in and started spending hundreds of millions of pounds on players, it forced the hand of the football teams. It forced the market. They're doing it again by this ridiculous valuation of 3 billion quid. And as that goes, it prices us out of a sale. It really does. Because the Glazers would turn around and say, well, give us 6 billion then. And then somebody's got to scrape together 6 billion quid. 6 billion. Just let that fester in your brain for a minute. 6 billion pounds. If we're worth, as Brendan says, double the amount. And that just lies our biggest problem. Even if you have got 25 billion in your bank account as cash asset, which Sir Jim Ratcliffe won't, most of his assets are shares and tied up in his Ineos group. He's not going to fork out 5 or 6 billion cash. It just won't happen. So Chelsea really at the scourge of modern day football, I'm afraid. This has happened twice now, and I just think it's going to cause us more problems than solutions. I really do. And it's not as easy. I know it's not as easy to construct a deal of that magnitude, especially if you've got 4 or 5 people in a consortium. This Todd Bowley deal or one of the deals for Chelsea, Lewis Hamilton was putting 10 million quid in. So was Serena Williams. Somebody was putting 200 million in. Someone was putting 2 billion in. It's ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous. We don't want to be, although some people say we do want to be owned by a state company. I don't think we do. Elon Musk, yeah, but I don't think he would. You're right. I don't think he'd fork out, 5 billion, 6 billion quid cash, because you're not going to see a big enough return on that investment. You'd have to be in it for the long haul. You really would. And you would have to significantly change the structure of our revenue stream. As good as it is at the minute, what can sustain 5 or 6 billion quid? I mean, they're just mind-blowing figures. They really are. If you look at today, if you believe the press, that Paris Saint-Germain have offered Kylian Mbappe 48 million signing on fee and something like 48 million a season, something ridiculous like that. That's just one player over 2 years. And that's what they want to do to keep him. Can you imagine where football would go if a club is sold for 6 billion quid? It just doesn't. So that's our biggest issue. I'm sorry to be a dampener, guys, but reality's got to set in at some point. It has to.
So just to pick up on your points, Sergio, obviously Radcliffe was, asked why you're not buying Manchester United, the club you support, but he says, I can understand that, he said, but United's not for sale. And obviously it's frustrating to hear that from him, but it's also not surprising in another way because the Glazers have shown no signs whatsoever they're going to sell United since taking over in 2005 amongst fierce criticism from everybody. And obviously, as much interest in Chelsea as the club was put up for sale, and there would be bidders for United if the Glazers would think we're going to sell it. But obviously, it's up to Radcliffe and maybe another party to try and change the Glazers' minds. But obviously, try and make an offer far above market value, which maybe piqued the Glazers' interest or would now tempted to sell. But it's just there's so much, as you said, the finances involved. It's just like, has he got those cash reserves to actually even make that bid? And obviously, with Radcliffe, he's based in Monaco, and obviously said in the interview as well, he's got split loyalties, so he's spending a lot of time in London, so he'd go and see Chelsea. But I think he's just trying to win favour with the Chelsea fans there rather than actually showing any real passion for that club, whereas United's where his heart and loyalty lies. But obviously his initial offer for Chelsea was rejected, but then there's that other rival bid, but he said he's not going to give up. But it's almost like if he doesn't get that, that bid through successfully for Chelsea, then may turn his attention back to United. But for this to happen, United needs to be up for sale. And obviously you got the 1958 group have now restarted the campaign, so and trying to make it uncomfortable and trying to push the Glazers towards selling. But I feel like that campaign needs, obviously, the more publicity it gets, the better. But it's going to have to be for the long haul, and we need more sustained push on pushing the Glazers. But there's buyers out there. It's just from the Glazers' point, they need to be convinced. What's their ceiling where they'll be going, okay, we're now tempted to sell, but as you said, Chelsea are we're going for 4 billion. The Glazers want 6, 7, 8, 9. What?
It's unheard of.
Don't know where their thinking is at the minute.
It's completely unheard of. I mean, John's right. Everything's for sale. It really
Everyone's
is.
got a price.
Yeah, that's right.
Well,
but then
I'll just check my sofa to see if I got a few billion. Everybody else?
That was my point. It'll obviously be a lot of money, of course, it will. And there'll be someone in the world who will be able to pay. They might not be the most palatable human being or whatever, but there will be one who will be willing to pay up. But, I think it's... I just put it down as an idea. I'm not saying Jim does have the money. I just think that something you can maybe inquire about to begin with, but maybe look elsewhere as well. Just see if there are any interest parties, if they are interested in selling up that kind of thing. So
I think it was a great topic, John, especially because he's an Oldham boy. So why would you not just come and come back to your roots? You never know. In the meantime, I will keep on telling Elon Musk, I am a damsel, a fan in distress. Can you please come save me from the evil Glazers?
Everyone's using his at on Twitter, and then eventually he'll read it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I keep doing it.
Yeah.
I certainly agree with your sentiment, and I think Martin's right. the protest should have continued as long as they were peaceful and nobody was getting hurt, and no fan was getting intimidated. The protest should have continued. We don't want the Glazers. And if you saw the 1958 action tree today, they are talking about working with bigger fan groups and fan channels. 1958 have put that out on Twitter today, which is great news. And what the 1958 are trying to do is brilliant. We just weren't sure what they were about when we were speaking about them 2 weeks ago. Now we understand what they're about a bit more, and it's great what they're doing. But
I think it's also worth mentioning that the protest, we weren't sure how many people would attend. We weren't sure whether it was properly organised and that kind of thing. So if anyone watched us and thought, "Oh, we were against them or anything," no, we just weren't sure how well planned it was. It was well planned a year ago when virtually every group was involved, but it felt like this time it wasn't. It didn't include everyone, but yes, if they wish to go down that line and they say that we do want to include others, and even people we might not agree with, like fan channels and that, then that is the right positive way to go forward. So so we have no problem with that. So if they do that, then they're doing a great job. So
quick thing to just thank you guys for defending me, because I know I'm going to get a lot of stick for that one, but I did actually have interaction with the Twitter with them. They were absolutely fine with me.
You're not going to get any stick, Vic. Look, let me just tell you something.
I don't know. You've seen the videos.
And I genuinely mean this, and I'd like to get it on record. Any man that sends a DM to a female in any walk of life, trying to ridicule them, trying to intimidate them, bordering on bullying, is not a man. I implore you right now to look at your girlfriend, your wife, your mother, your daughter. How would you feel if any of those were subjected to that type of thing? You're not a man, you're not hard, and you're not tough. You didn't come at me. Come at me. Come at me. That's what I don't like about it. I don't like these channels, whoever they are. I'm not going to name them. Whoever they are, inciting this type of thing, because the funny thing and the absolute thickness of the irony, right, is that they're doing it for clips. They're doing it for followers. These guys. That's what they're doing, and I cannot for the life of me understand how anybody can be influenced enough to DM somebody for something they may or may not have said. It beggars belief. It staggers me how that somebody could let themselves be brainwashed by that. So I've got off my chest. I've been livid about it all day, actually, and I've got off my chest, and I think it's right. So if you have done it, you're not men. You need to own up and sort it out. But just look at the females within your family, and if you can stand and look at them in the eye and allow them to be intimidated or humiliated or ridiculed, well, you need to take a long look at yourselves, guys. You really do. So, sorry, John. I had to get off my chest. It's been bothering me.
No, that's fine. Andrew, talk to us a bit about Ronaldo.
Yeah, as a debate that's been across much of the season, whether he's the problem or not. I just think since his return to the club this season, whether his legendary status has been further enhanced, given how the side we have and how not done so well this season. I mean, when United first announced he was coming back, I mean, I was just excited to see him back. I mean, I didn't get to see him live, in his first stint, and only saw him when he came back many years ago when he was with Juventus. And I thought I get to actually see Ronaldo play at Old Trafford again. And I mean, I just think behind all the euphoria when he first came back, I think maybe everybody thinking, would it all go horribly wrong? Would his second stint be, as good as the first? Would he be the same player as he was? But obviously our season's not gone as well, and there's no doubt about that. But I think as we come towards the end of the season, I think Ronaldo's status is just getting enhanced with each week. I mean, like the game Monday night, I was thinking him alongside Juan Mata were some of our best players. I mean, he had one disallowed goal, he was just marginally offside, but then got the I think he's 24th of the season with the penalty as well. And I mean, I think he only used 2 more goals.
Sorry, that face he pulled up when that goal was disallowed.
Yeah. It was tight, wasn't it? He was offside, but it was tight, wasn't it? Bloody hell.
Yeah.
I was watching it in the ground. I was like, is it? I was like, yeah.
No, definitely
So
not.
that when they jumped on each other, it's like even though the goal was cancelled, it's like a beautiful moment, wasn't it? So that's one of them.
Do you know something, Andrew? You're right about Mata and Ronaldo's link-up play. I mentioned it. Me and Reece were talking about it on a couple of shows ago. I was calling for Mata, as you know, Andrew, for a while now, haven't I, to come and play, and just to have somebody like that with the intelligence and the guile, just to pick a pass and find it. It must have been brilliant for Ronaldo.
I was going to say on Matt, whether I would give him one more year at United, but some people would say he's got to go. And,
I feel like he's been wasted this year, completely wasted. If you were having someone like Rashford do what he's been doing, I just don't understand how you don't start Mata and then bring Rashford on. And sort of like show him the fundamentals of the basics through Mata. But they never did that.
I think there was that one moment in the game where Ronaldo and Mata were linking up and Mata nearly scored. Right? I just thought if that had gone in, it was just like, the whole of Old Trafford just erupted. But it was just it's good to see United playing some good football for once.
Oh my God, we were so spoiled by that on Monday.
It looks like Martin's in agreement with a lot of fans these days. To be honest, I haven't really seen too much Ronaldo criticism lately. I saw it a little bit when he was going through a bit of a dry spell in front of the goal, but I think that's kind of changed a little bit from what I've seen. Either that or I've blocked everyone, so I just can't read it because I've blocked them all. I'm not too sure. But Reece, let me just bring you in on this one. I think it's a great thing to think of, as Ronaldo enhanced his legendary status since he's been back.
Yeah, I think so. I think Roy Keane summed it up pretty well, didn't he, the other night? If anybody saw the quote that he said, but he basically was compared. Obviously, him and Salah are kind of at the top, aren't they, for the goals this season? What's Ronaldo on 18, 19 now? Salah's on about 21, 22. So, and you look at that team, and basically what he said was, if Salah was in the United team this season and Ronaldo in the Liverpool team, would they be tuning out the same numbers equally? Clearly not.
Ronaldo would be 30 plus, wouldn't he?
Yeah,
Easy.
Of course he would. And some of the goals he's produced. I mean, I was at the Villarreal game early on in the season when he pulled the winner out. I watched the Atalanta games when he was phenomenal. Obviously, we watched the away games when he scored the winner, that half volley in the last minute. Just some of the performances this season have been incredible. His Spurs games, when he scored that hat trick. I mean, what's he on for? He scored 3 hat tricks this season. He scored 2, hasn't he? This season already. He's just been incredible. And to even suggest that there was a point where he was nowhere near the kind of levels he should have been. I mean, he's 37 anyway, but to still be sort of producing the numbers that he's producing is just ridiculous. Whether he was a previous legend or not, I think in terms of what he's done this season alone, he's been just incredible, to be quite honest. And it just shows. I think Stu was right in terms of bringing him Matt, and it's frustrating for me because I've always been a big, massive fan of Matt, to be quite honest, as well as Stu. And I think he's a player equally that has, like Matic in a similar sort of way. That's kind of attained like certain levels. They've been at clubs where they've won things, so they know what it takes to win. So when you put Mata in there with someone like Ronaldo, there's kind of a natural cohesion straight away where you've got 2 winners who know what each other's games are all about. And I felt like we could have used Mata a lot more this season to support Ronaldo, and we didn't. And for whatever reason, I don't know. We don't know why. Do we? We can all speculate, I suppose. Whether it be injury or fitness or whatever it was, or just pure choice of other players. We're not. Yeah, but equally, it's frustrating that we haven't got more out of Mata to get even more out of Ronaldo, and equally more out of the team. But it is what it is. In terms of Ronaldo, he's been incredible, absolutely incredible. He's done everything, scored headers, scored free kicks, scored long-range goals, scored short-range goals, scored volleys. Just everything that Ronaldo does, he's done again this season and done it 20 times this season in all competitions. So, or in most competitions, I should say. So, yeah, he's enhanced his legendary status. Definitely for me, unbelievable player. Yeah, incredible, really.
Before we bring in our three little games that we've got towards the end of the show, Vicky, do you want to have your final word on Ronaldo this season?
Yeah, I personally agree with what everybody said tonight. I think that he's going for personal stats more than he is going, obviously, because there's no run for Champions League. And so he wants to he's never scored anything under 20 goals in the Premier League season or something like that. So my head, just go finish off with like pure utter class, like shut everyone up and go score a hat trick. That's it. Go on. Do your 51 hat trick and just like shut everyone up. I think that if you did play Mata, right, for the Brighton game, that will happen.
We might see it. We genuinely might see that, don't we?
I would not put a bet on it, but then again, guess what? My Varane bet came in.
The peach. Yeah.
Let's start off on mine then. It's quite a simple one. I feel like we should clip these answers up or tweet them out somewhere so we've always got them saved. We might laugh just to see who wins. We're going to name the starting 11 for the first game of next season, not including the transfers. So obviously any transfers in, obviously we don't know who they're going to be. So we can leave those out. But any other positions who we think who's in our current squad, who's going to start in the first game of next season. So we could just kind of go around the table a little bit. We maybe goalkeepers and defence first. I'm just reading the comments as well. So goalkeepers and defence. Who wants to start? Vicky, do you want to start?
I think it's De Gea's last season at Man United.
This is our
next season.
Yeah, next season. Yeah. Sorry,
Okay.
sorry. That's what I mean. Oh my god,
Yeah.
so scary. I think we're going to try and educate Delo. I think so. Then obviously Lindelof, Varane. See, and this is where I don't know if it is going to continue to be Tellez, and I definitely don't. I don't think Luke Shaw. I think Luke Shaw is just checked out. That's it. The only time he says he enjoys playing football is England, so he's not interested in Man United anymore. He's far too busy talking to his friend at Just Eat.
But maybe two things. One, we'll perform differently under a new manager, or two, leave that space blank because that could be a new signing as a left.
But definitely. But I would say like he wanted Poch because he's worked with him. So I don't think he wants Eric Ten Hag at all. I think of all the people that were quite vocal in the backstage area of saying that they didn't want Ten Hag, they wanted Poch. Luke Shaw was the one main person going, yeah, come on, bring him in. So he didn't have to work so hard. With that, great football player, but not this season. But he does not look like he likes doing work. Let's just say that.
Go on, Stu. So far, Vicky's gone for De Gea, Delo, Varane, Lindelof, and Tellez of a new signing. What's your thoughts going into next season?
So I agree with Vicky. I think it's De Gea's last season, but I don't think that guarantees him a starting spot. If Henderson is there at the beginning of the season, I think Henderson might get the nod. So I'm going to go with Henderson. I'm going to go with somebody called what's his name? Oh, he's a bit of a flouncy French poser. What's his name? I'm going to go with Varane and Maguire. I think Maguire will come back in. I really do. I think it'll be Varane and Maguire. Fullbacks are a tricky one. I'm going to go with Brandon Williams to get the nod over Luke Shaw and Tellez. I think I would have. If Brandon Williams we could have brought him back, I think he would have played the back end of the season. I think Aaron Wan-Bissaka might get the start over Delo because I know that as much as Ten Hag likes to play advanced fullbacks, he also likes a defensive a strong defensive unit. We know that Dallow's not the best for his defensive positional play. So I would go Wan-Bissaka, Maguire, the Peach, and good old Brandon Williams. But I'm going to go with, I think Henderson might get the nod. I really do.
Okay. Go on, John, mate.
It's a tricky one with the goalkeeper. I think I personally think he'll have doubts about him, but I think he'll probably sit with De Gea in the goal. I think Henderson will probably go out on loan, perhaps, in my opinion. I think he will look to replace De Gea eventually, but I think maybe he might think there are other priorities to deal with first, and maybe a year after he might look to replace him. But it won't surprise me if Henderson's the goalkeeper, though. Right back, it won't surprise me if he brought someone in. I think Wan-Bissaka might go. He might go with the low, but I wouldn't be surprised if he got a new right back in. I do think it'll be Varane and Maguire to start the season. And I think it'll be Luke Shaw at left back. I think Tellez will go.
Ooh, okay. It's similar to me. Andrew, what's yours, mate?
What do you mean similar to you? Come on, John. I think you're on my side.
I think it's going to be De Gea in goal next season, and I think beyond that as well. I just
Bloody hell, Andrew! I thought you'd back me up. Crikey!
I think Henderson's going to go. I think he wants to leave at the end of the season. He wants game time. I'm not going to deny a player game time. You know, you can go and find another club and be a first team player. So I think it's going to be De Gea. The centre backs, I think it's going to be Varane and Maguire. Lindelof is good to have as a backup, or Varane. Well, this season he's just the consistency. He's just not had it with the injuries. It's just been. I'm sort of going to like Varane to a bit like Phil Jones at the minute. It's been a bit stop-start. You know, he's got to run and then an injury's cropped up and then he's been out again. So just needs
no. I did this last night. He's missed 3 weeks, right? He's missed. He's missed. 13 days. Three of them. Two of them he had COVID, right? One of them he had a sickness bug. He's not just like he's had two injuries when he's come back from France. That is it. He's not injury prone. He had COVID and he had a funny tummy. All right? Which we all get.
There you go, Andrew. There's your telling off.
I still want him in the side.
He's not as injury prone as everyone makes out. It drives me mental.
Or maybe I just said that consistent centre back partnership, you know, because we haven't really had it. It's been chopped and changed, and you know, it's got to go through a whole season without, you know, it's this player, but then so Varane and Maguire for right back. I just think he's going to give a chance to Wan-Bissaka if he can just, like I say, he's great at the back and this is more the going forward as well. He's like, I've seen it during the games. He gets so forward, far on the wing, and then like I think he can just run past the player. You can get past him and cross the ball in, and he sort of stops, and then I've got to pass it back. And I'm like, if Ten Hag and whoever his coaches he brings in can add that element to his game, I think he'll go far. The left back, this is the tricky one.
I think everyone should just leave that blank.
That's
so
what
yeah.
I'm just thinking Luke Shaw or Brandon Williams or just maybe a new side, and I'm just like, who's Ten Hag going to be impressed by the most? I'm going to leave that one blank because I'm not sure. It could be a new sign. It could be one of the existing players, but yeah. I'm a bit unsure on the left back position at the minute.
I can see Reece doing a bit of homework, so I'll go through mine. I can't see how David De Gea had such a good season, but unless if he wants to go, I don't bring Stu in because the show will last until midnight. Like I said, leaning forward, but I know you're absolutely right, and I really hope Henderson gets his chance, but I just don't think. I think if David is obviously here next season, I think he deserves that spot. Don't look at me, Stu. I'm not looking at the camera, so I'm going for. I'm going to go for Adam Maguire just because I'd like to see how it works out properly, like under a more of a settled structure, a little bit more of a settled coaching staff. I'd at least like to see that. But I do think we'll probably bring the centre back in, but I just don't think they'll start. So I'm going for Varane and Maguire. Fullbacks are obviously tricky. I'm going to go for a new signing at right back, and I do think Luke Shaw will start, and I think he'll probably go shortly after, or I don't know, something will probably happen with him, but I do think he'll probably start next season. So yeah, that were my 5. Reece, you got yours ready, mate?
Yeah, sorry, I was behind the scenes looking at Stu's balls, which is a little bit of a... So that's why I was a little unprepared. I was a little unprepared there. Sorry. Yeah. I don't disagree with a lot of what everyone said. I think in terms of De Gea, I think I agree with Vicky. I think he's got another season in him, and then I'll probably part and say farewells to De Gea. He's done nothing wrong in terms of his shot stopping. He does need to sort of develop other parts of his game, but is he going to do that at the edges now and probably with the forward plan? Probably not. In terms of the right back position, I think it's still wide open for me. I think there's Dalot still there. Wan-Bissaka's still got a shout if he can develop his game a little bit more going forward. He's still young enough. He's still fit enough. And Dalot's obviously a young player, sort of hot on his heels. But is he good enough outright to take Wan-Bissaka's position? He's proven a couple of times that he might have been, and then he's taken a back step a couple of times. So still wide open in that position for me. In terms of the centre half positions, I think Maguire gets another season. I've said that before on the sort of some of the post match stuff that we've talked about. I think he definitely needs another solid season to kind of get his feet under the table. And obviously with the World Cup coming up this year as well, I think that it'll be very much kind of try and keep him in a team the first half of the season to get him ready for the World Cup and see how he performs. And then obviously I think Varane naturally will fit in next to him. Left back is kind of wide open as well, but I think with Luke, we get a fit Luke Shaw who's on a bit of form. Again, I said this before, he's got gears over most of the other left back options, so I think Luke Shaw is a standout candidate. But is Luke Shaw's head in the game? I'm not sure, really. To be honest, I'm not sure on Luke Shaw. But the full back positions are key for us. A key for any top four side we've seen with Trent and Robertson and Chilwell and Reece James and all those kind of players as well. We need to get those two positions sorted out for next season, and it's going to be massively key. We can't keep messing around with who's going to fit there, The team, definitely the back four, I'm really quite strong on that. It needs to pick itself really week in, week out. And so when it's difficult on the full back positions, but Luke Shaw gets it a little bit more convincingly for me on the left back side, I think.
Always say you'll never win anything without a consistent back four. I don't know anybody who's won trophies without having a consistent back four. Or a consistent back three even, but if they would have to be consistent because they're like basically. I'm not going to. I hate the term, and it's become so popular because Roy Keane says it. If you're in the trenches, that's what you want. You want to send the England team in first, but yeah, you just want a consistent back four. You want to know that every famous Man United team that's ever happened, you know who was starting every match because they were the ones that were just like blocking that goal and then sending it forward.
You have to read the game.
Attackers win your games, defenders win your ties.
Yeah, that's it.
we'll move on to the midfielders and attackers then. Vicky, do you want to start off? Who would be your midfield three? Presumably you're going to play the same kind of formation, midfield three, and your front three strikers.
I like McTominay, but I'm not gonna. I don't think he should start. I don't know. Sorry, that's bad. But I tell you what, Fred's improved since being under Eric Ten Hag, so I keep Fred.
Mm-hmm. So Fred's going to start.
Yeah.
Who would you put alongside him, or who would Ten Hag put alongside him?
Space.
Oh,
Like-
no, Bruno. No.
Well, I guess you bring Bruno, but I'm just bringing him as like a 9, so I'm picking him up here. Aren't I?
Okay.
Are you pulling him up front, are you?
But then I just
No, up front.
yeah. Well, no, as in it goes like a 4-2-1-2-2. Well, I guess I could do the first thing Radnick always wanted in the first place. Oh my god, am I doing that? I am.
No, Fred and Bruno on a bait.
Yeah. So and then blank. Yeah, Bruno, and then I don't know if Rashford's going to make it with me anymore. I hopefully, if that could be the only player that can improve under Eric Ten Hag, it will be him. He needs to go back to school. Then I keep Sancho, obviously Ronaldo for next year. And that's it. That's the ones that I would keep. So.
Okay.
And I haven't brought any youth in there yet because I don't want to. I don't want to tarnish their name right now.
Stuart, your thoughts on this one, mate?
Well, we'll have a new 6 for sure. So Vicky's right about that. There'll be a 6.
Yeah.
I think he'll play 4-3-3 actually. So I think there'll be a 6 new signing. I think it'll be Bruno. I think there'll be another new signing or Fred. So it'll either be a new signing or Fred. Up top, it'll be Sancho, Alanga, Ronaldo, or a new signing. So I think what he'll do is he'll bring in a new signing as a striker. Yeah. Ronaldo will have to play a little bit more on the bench next season, but Ronaldo will be in there. Yeah. So 6 is a new signing. 8 is a new signing alongside Fred and Bruno. Sancho, Alanga, Ronaldo, and a new signing. That's how I see it.
That's exciting. I'm a bit more close to you on this one, Stu. So I think I've got your friendship back a little bit. John.
Yeah, I agree that there'll definitely be a new defensive midfielder. Bruno, I think will definitely start. I'll go with Fred, but won't surprise me if it's Van de Beek. But I'll probably just go Fred.
I just completely forgot about
To be honest, I only remembered it about 10 seconds ago. But yeah, I'll go new CDM, Fred and Bruno.
Who was your front 3, sorry, John?
Oh, my front 3, I'll go with Sancho, Ronaldo if he stays. I'll probably go Rashford.
Oh, yeah. I'm not too far off. I've gone for new signing, Bruno. And then I did think Fred or Van de Beek. I'd like to see Van de Beek. I think Fred's probably the safer option, but I'm going to go for Van de Beek. Ronaldo, Sancho, and then I've left right wing blank. Maybe we'll do something. I don't know. Maybe we'll do something on that one. Andrew?
He's going to use a 4-3-3. I'm just thinking definitely Bruno. I think Bruno will definitely be in that midfield 3. The other 2, I want to put Donny in there because I just think they worked together at Ajax, and obviously Donny did so well there, and obviously then you're not.
That's why I feel so stupid.
Can I just make a point, by the way? You could, because Bruno's better. Bruno, fucking hell. Because Donny's been out on loan, you could you could utilise my Fred or a signing as Donny. You know what I'm saying? I was just making that point. And you could do the same as well, Vic.
I feel like he went to the wrong team to be loaned at, though.
Should have gone to Palace.
Yep, should have gone to Palace. I mean, he would have done better even bloody go to Brighton.
Oh God, yeah, he would have.
The fact that he went to like the worst team to go to, he's actually made him underperform because he's got too much pressure, and their team's worse than ours sometimes.
It's possibly because he's with his partner who was pregnant at the time and Everton's on down the road, so that could have been a factor, maybe.
Yeah, we always forget those personal bits, don't we?
Go on, Andrew, mate.
So yeah, Bruno, Donny. I think it's going to be a new signing. We're going to have a genuine number. Like if we have like the same like Matic Monday night, I'm just like if he was only 5 years when we bought him, he was even 5 years younger than that. We'd like. But like, I just think that Chelsea game in Kante, I just think he just showed us what we were definitely missing. I was like, there was one moment in that game where Kante had intercepted the ball and then just started going on a run, and I think Rashford was chasing after him, and Kante went get away and shot him off and just got the ball into the opposition half. So I think definitely a number 6 front three, Sancho on the left. Ronaldo, I think, is going to stay. I think he's got unfinished business. He wants one more season. The right side, Alanga or Rashford. I'm stuck on that one because Rashford's. It's been so sad to see his form just go so bad. So it's just nice to see if Ten Hag can actually, getting back to the player that we once knew as well. So yeah, so I'm divided on that one. Either or, I'd be happy with in that right side.
Reece, finish up with yourself, mate.
Yeah, not too dissimilar to the rest of the guys, really. I think it depends on kind of what formation that tonight comes in and plays. Because I mean, obviously, we're talking about sort of a 4-3-3, aren't we? Really, for most of this season, in a certain sort of way, however it sits, it could play a sort of a 4-1-2-1-2 or something like that, where he's got like one sitter, two in midfield, like a diamond 4-4-2, which means it gives us a bit more in midfield. But I think in terms of that, there's definitely a couple of new signings in there. Personally, and then I think Bruno's retained as a kind of a number 10, really. A bit more of a freedom to roll, and obviously Ronaldo, and I'd like to think Sancho as well, to be honest. What's so funny? Are you still thinking about Stuart's balls?
Yeah. Let's talk about.
Well, there's quite a few players coming back. Whether they'll be retained or not. Obviously, Martial's coming back, isn't he, at the end of the season? We've got Andres Pereira, I've heard might be Ten Hag likes as well, but I can't see that one happening. So yeah, obviously everyone's been talking about Ghana as well coming back, and yeah, there's quite a lot of options, isn't there, really? But I think, to be honest, there's going to be a massive overhaul of the midfield. I think McTominay is going to be a perfect little kind of rotational player. Bruno, Ronaldo, and I hope Rashford gets a bit more form and finds his way into the team. So I think those three players will definitely be kind of within the starting 11, and then the rest of them I think will be up for a chop. So yeah.
Yeah.
If I get a chance tomorrow morning, I'll watch this back and maybe write a few things down. It'll be interesting to see how far off we might be.
Were you writing this down? Sorry, Stu. Sorry, John. I mean, this. Yeah. Were you writing this down? Because I can go a bit slower if you.
No. No, I haven't written them down, but I think it'll be interesting.
No, I would write mine down. So yeah. and I still forgot Donny.
Yeah, we can.
It'll be interesting to see whether I reckon out of all our weapons there might be a curveball which Ten Hag throws in. Like maybe he might by right winger, for example.
That's what I'm saying. I think there might be.
Potentially, you know.
Might have somebody high.
Don't give him a big head, John. Don't give him a big head. He's read today that we Ten Hag like Stephen Bergwijn, so he's not. I'm right.
No, I don't want to see Bergwijn.
I don't think anyone does.
Come on, let's move on to Reese's then. We've got a bit of technology on the go now. Are we going to try and do this, Reese?
Yeah, let's have a go.
I'm going to get my balls up as well after.
Well, I don't know about that, Stu. We'll have to find.
I don't know.
Sorry, Vicky. I forget.
Oh, there we go.
Oh, Nick, there we go.
There we go. So my topic, if you've not already guessed, is United home shirts
Oh,
of the years gone by. So
Reese, you're so fire tonight.
yeah, I'm doing all right, aren't I? I'll go downhill from here though, so I'm not getting carried away with myself. But
your favourite's not on there.
You're wearing the. Are you wearing the 92?
94.
Yeah.
Mine will be number one. Mine will be number one. I mean, there is only one answer.
This here is Stu era here, isn't it, Stu?
There's only one answer, and it's that one. Where's the white one though, with the 4 stripes?
This is all home strips. This
all home. Okay, yeah. Well, there's only one answer, and it's number one.
Is it number one? Well, I'll be honest. I have brought my era when I first sort of got into being a United fan, because I'm very, very young, Stu, as you know. It was 96, 98. So this actually was I've still got this. So this is my first home kit when I was 6, 7 years old. So I've still got that kit there, and that was probably my favourite as a kid, because that was the Cantona kit for me. That was the moment when Cantona was king, and to be fair, I think he probably wore John's for the first time when he arrived at United. To be fair, didn't he, John? So was he 92? Came in 93.
Right, John, pop your collar up. Let's have a look.
This was the collar kit. So we'll kind of.
I'll just go for a moment. I'll get the other ones down.
Oh, awesome.
We'll work down. I mean, John, if you want to start, and then we'll work across. You work across the crowd, but like for me personally, I mean, obviously I love the early 90s kits, and obviously the sharp kits. Really, I wasn't a big fan of the zip kit. I hated that kit. Really, absolutely. That kit. That zip always broke on that kit as well. It was horrible. And then I wasn't a big fan of the Vodafone sponsor strip, and the Vodafone sponsor always used to come off on the kit. It was horrible, yeah. And everyone recalls the 2004 kit when Rooney had to rip the collar to actually get his head through the.
We're going to my favourite one.
But moving on.
There we are. 2007 to 2009. I like that one. This is a classic kit. And to be fair, when the AIG came out, everybody. I didn't like that initially. I looked at the kit when it first got leaked, and I hated it. But that is such an iconic kit. It was just all red, nothing much to it. It was brilliant.
I love that one.
It was one of the best defensive years of Man United.
Yeah, it was just an unbelievable home strip, wasn't it? And
that was the last one we had over 2 years, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Scholesy, I remember watching the Scholesy thing. If everybody's watched the BT thing with Scholesy when they talk about the strip through the years.
Oh, my favourite pull. When I see that shit, I think of that Paul Scholes goal against Barcelona.
This one here.
Yeah.
The 07-09 one.
Yeah, there's still only one answer, guys. It's
still number one.
Is it? What is it?
I mean,
John's wearing it.
Sammy McIlroy scored one of the greatest goals. I've got that. He scored one of the greatest goals ever in the FA Cup final against Arsenal in '79. Big Gordon McQueen popped us level. We were 2-0 down, and Big Gordon McQueen scored. And Big Sammy, or Little Sammy at the time, weaved his way through, put a bit of magic in, and then Alan Sunderland, swine. I always remember him because he got real awful hair. Went up the top end and scored. Gary Bailey was nowhere, but So 77, 79, the greatest and only kit anyone can vote for.
Admiral as well. Admiral kit as well, Stu.
Exactly. But I also quite liked 85, 86 as well. The stripes on the arms. I had the blue one. We did a blue one in that strip, and that was pretty cool too. So those are my two favourites.
Go on, Andrew.
So mine's probably 94, 96. That was my first, with the collar and Eric Cantona. So it's like, my favourite kit, and plus it was made by Umbro.
You like 77, 79, don't you? It's quite nice. It's plain. It's discreet.
Yeah, I like that one as well.
So I knew you would.
Well, one of the reasons I brought this up really was because of the leaked home kit for next season, which I don't know if anybody's seen it. I'm sure you all have seen it, and I'm sure you're not all fans of it really. Which you start off that way, don't you, with a home strip, and then you learn to love it. But it's horrible, isn't it? The new one.
I think as it goes on, it goes. Well, you didn't bother thinking about that shirt, did you? You didn't think about bothering designing that shirt, did you?
No.
And I feel like they're getting more and more lazy with shirt designs.
The shirts in recent years haven't been particularly great, but I think the one that I liked recently was the one in Solskjaer's first season. When it had the tribute to the goals in the Champions League final '99.
I tell you what, the one shirt I really liked this season was the away one, the white, blue, and with the pink. This season's
the blue one.
Yeah, the blue one. I wore my son's one. It actually fit, but he's now given it to me because my boobs stretched it.
I'm going to go with the one that John's actually wearing. As soon as John came on the stream and I saw that one, I was like, oh, that's my favourite one. But it is great just to reminisce. So here we go. Stu's on me again. Don't look at me, Stu.
Come on. Pay a little bit of homage to 77, 70, 79. Come on,
when I look at them shirts, all I'm getting is flashbacks of like clips that I saw obviously before I was born, and it's great memories. It's great memories as a kid looking, when I've done my research of Man United of old. It's good memories with very tiny shorts as well to go to match.
We could pull it off back then, though. We could pull it off.
I think the 2002 one always makes me sad because it always makes me think about them two girls.
Yeah.
But anyway, we're moving to old shirts to old balls, aren't we now?
Yeah, can we get them straight?
Oh, by the way, before we do, I absolutely love the treble shirt. By the way, even though I'm wearing this one, the treble one's possibly my favourite. So
is that the 90? You want about the actual
the one with the Umbros
the one with the Umbro sleeve.
Yeah, lovely. That was nice.
It reminds me of Yap Stam, that top.
Always.
White York for me. White York.
Andy Cole, because I interviewed him a couple of years ago actually, and I asked him about that, and that was quite an interesting interview.
Yeah.
Sorry, that's kind of like stopped everybody, hasn't it? Yeah. Sorry.
That was a big name. That was a big name drop there, Stu.
Yeah, I know. Let's be quiet.
Yeah, my job is that I'm media, so yeah. Sorry, I didn't mean it. Yeah, that was forget the name. Amazing. I didn't mean it like that.
Yeah, well, I now want to pour a large glass of wine and want to hear all about this.
Yeah.
Great interview. Yeah, I could tell you about the interview I had with Valentino Rossi if you like MotoGP. But
John, what did we say? We got to organise this drinks do.
I know. Yeah, we have. We'll sort that one out over the summer. Obviously, save the away shirts until next week.
Yeah. There's only one answer as well, by the way, lads. Just so you know.
I'll bring out the away shirts
next week. Absolutely, yeah.
That's going to be because they're all great, but the away shirts, because they're always so different, I'm going to struggle.
Reece, plenty of people have stayed around to watch the next lot of photos. So,
Which straight up to Stu. Do you want to kind of intro this,
Stu?
Stu?
Do you want to? Yeah, go on, Stu.
I will be brief. On last week's show, if anybody watched, I was talking about my favourite footy boots, and the greatest boots of all time are, of course, the Copa Mundials and the Adidas World Cups. There is no debate; they are the greatest. But also, I was talking about my favourite ever football. I've been desperately trying to get my son to want to buy this ball, and he never did. And the reason it's so cool and dear to me is Argentina, 1978, and my very first experience of a World Cup, and watching the magnificent Argentina team of that era, Mario Kempes and Lukic and Ozzy Ardiles, absolute wonderful. I was mesmerised by the quality, the skill, and the way that like the Peruvians and the South American teams are able to swerve the ball. You've not seen it in Europe at all back then. So I just wondered what everybody's. I've got 3 balls I'd like to show you before we move on to everyone else's. But that's my all-time favourite ball ever.
I'm not. Can we not like? I'm not bringing on a Wimbledon song because you have to times it by 3.
No, you won't be able to. Yeah, don't do that. Now, the second one I'd like Reece to bring up is what everybody of my era. There it is. There it is. That's the 1970 World Cup ball. Now, when we were kids growing up and we were playing football out in the street because it was safe and you're able to do that, that was the football of choice. But the only thing is, you used to have it brand new for your birthday or for Christmas, and then you play with it outside for about 3 days, and everything would come off it. The leather would come off, and it would be absolutely terrible. And you had to dub in these balls back in the day so that they would remain looking like they did. But that was my second ever favourite ball. And the third ball, you may or may not remember this, was the old Mitre Stewart Surridge ball. Now, it's kind of like that. It didn't have the UFO on it or anything like that. But that was in the 1970s, late 70s, late 80s in the Football League. And that was my first football I took to school. I took it under my arm. I had it for my birthday, and I took it to school. And we used to play in the playground with that football. So apart from the Mitre Ultimax, which I know that everybody will bring up, those are my 3 favourite footballs of all time.
Well, I'll jump in here, Stu, and show you one of my balls.
Okay.
And just because I was looking for you, well, I actually had another one which I've got brought up. Yeah. Well, I had the 2005 Premier League ball, the yellow with the blue stripe as well.
Yeah,
that was a massively iconic one for me because as much as I was a Man United fan, I loved Henry as well. You couldn't help not love Henry because he was unbelievable, and that ball seemed to symbolise Henry a little bit as well. And that ball was just ridiculous with some insane goals, and Ronaldo scored some insane goals with that ball as well. That free kick in particular against David James was that ball. So, but yeah, this ball was just something from a different planet. You know, I think anybody who struck this ball with any kind of power seemed to produce a magical goal with it. So this was just the controversial goal in that World Cup that year in Africa, where
that was described as the spherest football of all time, or the roundest sphere of all time. That football. That's why they declared it would swerve so much, and the goalkeepers used to hate it. It was a nightmare for them.
Yeah, it almost did it get banned, or some sort of way of it how it was made get banned following that?
Yeah.
I think.
That was it. Yeah, it was the only ball of its type. That.
Yeah. Well, that's all the footballs I have.
I've got a question for Stu, because obviously he knows his balls more than any of us. You put a few pictures on the group chat and of the Champions League ones and the World Cup.
I did, yeah.
Which that was it. I mean, there's some nice ones there, Stu. But do you prefer the World Cup ones to the Champions League ones?
Yeah, I do. And the reason I do that is because the Champions League haven't really changed much. They have in colour, but they've never changed in design. Yeah. The greatest ever football, the Tango, was just mesmeric for me when I was 9 years old. It was just wow! I'd never seen anything like it. It was just amazing. A lot of the balls that time were white. They were just plain white. the Mitre Ultimax and something like that, and to have some kind of design to it, some kind of colour was like, wow.
What did they use in the old days when there was snow? Because I know that we use orange balls now. What did they use, Stu?
Just an orange ball. Yeah, just an orange ball. I mean, you're used to the term.
Do you have a favourite orange balls, Stu, at all? Which I love that particular ball in the winter.
No. Orange balls at the time were posers. You don't have an orange ball. It's like pink football boots today, posers.
Don't you always want to keep like orange balls spare?
Well, we never played with orange balls. Our school couldn't afford them, and you never got a replica. Not to my knowledge, you never got a replica orange football that you could go and buy from the shop. But
how could you not have
that time
being able to play with orange balls? I just
they used to put me off. They just used to put me off.
For those just watching me on about footballs,
They could have been radioactive or anything, you just didn't know with an orange ball. But those are the great. Those are my favourite balls. So yeah,
I love the one there because I had the 2003 Champions League ball. Because it was at Old Trafford that year, and it had the like finale in Italy there because obviously it was Juventus versus AC Milan. I had that ball myself, and also the 2008 one. That ball moved, didn't it? So much so John Terry missed his penalty.
Well, of course, they're one of the great Champions League ones. That is.
Andrew, have you got a favourite ball?
John looks perplexed right now. He's like, what's this?
Trying to think back to my childhood. I can't remember playing at the mighty footballs as well.
Yeah,
also, the ones that are the infamous, the ones that they're nicknamed as like floaters or flyaways. You'd hit one like made of plastic.
Oh, you're talking about the 199 balls, aren't you? Yeah, that's just float like.
We call them penny floaters.
They go down pretty quick.
The 2009 Champions League, but when you think of Ronaldo's 2 goals and one against Porto and the free kick against Arsenal as well, those are great goals.
And then there was me who just took any ball that was going to play.
I'm glad you brought yourself in there, Vicky, because I was thinking going to bring this conversation to Vicky.
No. I played football for 1 season. I was more of a hockey girl. But as I said, I had to share my buddy's Gareth Southgate shoes with my twin sister, and so God knows what I would think about what balls I was playing with.
Well, it's more of a guy thing, footballs, isn't it? Because my lad, when he was growing up, one of the best things you can do with a young lad is to take him to the football shop, get him his new football boots, his new trainers. And then he'd always turn around and say, "Dad, can I have a football?" Great, I've only bought you these. And so we'd always walk out with a brand new football. We had so many footballs because he always wanted the latest one, and Nike now. Do you know Nike? Which is terrible for parents, and Vic will know this because she's got younger boys. They have 3 different styles of footballs a season now, don't they? They have the
they
summer
do.
one, they have the winter one. And then they have the spring one.
Yeah, my best tweets actually come from buying footballs and trainers and shoes because I'm in a sports shop all the time, and I'm not looking.
Constantly.
I'm just saying yes to everything because I don't care. And sorry, and I'm going. How comes I've got like 20 balls in my garden?
Yeah.
I think there's still a joy from finding footballs as well. Like my youngest has got like the eye for it now as well. Like we were sort of coming back from the football pitch the other day.
I've forgotten about
that. And he was like, "Dad, there's a football on the hedge over there." So I had to climb on top of this hedge to get a battered football, and there was still joy from getting it and going. We're just we've got a free ball. It was a mitre ball, so it was a really good find, but. There was some joy from that.
I'll tell you something.
That's what happened with me. I had to go and get a ball from my garage roof, right? And then I climbed up the ladder, got up there, and then I went to roll the ball down, but I rolled the ball down so much so it actually pushed the ladder onto the camper. I was stuck for an hour on my garage roof.
Sounds like carry on footballing.
If you know me, it's not a new thing. I had to go help for about an hour. And my kids just...
You see, retrieving football's nightmare.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I've actually climbed up a bloody tree for one as well.
I used to work in the United Megastore. We used to have like a load of balls, we used to have ones with like the squad's fake signatures and all that. But then you used to have like the Premier League football. You also had, like the old-fashioned balls, like Bobby Charlton's did when he used the belts in the top corner of that. It's like, why would anyone buy that?
Right, I tell you what, they were heavy. God, they got heavy when they were wet. It's just waterlogged. Jeez, they used to hit your foot.
I actually, looking back, and obviously the tragedy with old footballers now, I'm not surprised a lot of them have got dementia later on in life because they were that hard.
Oh, yeah, because they've got proper laces as well. They've got proper laces as well, yeah.
So what's your subject next week, Stu? I mean, heaven forbid, is it going to be like the funniest products you can buy in the Mega Superstore? Because my mum will win that one. Every time she went to Man United, she gave me back a bottle of lemonade, which was like a football shirt. Did anybody else do that as a kid? Was it just
I got a good one
thing in the store?
I got a good one for next week. Your favourite non-United shirt?
Yeah, that's quite good. I might go with the greatest ever goal you've scored in your fledgling career.
Huh?
I can't remember.
I remember one.
Everybody scored a worldie. Everybody has scored a worldie at one point in their life. Have a think about that.
I'll tell you about private. Yeah, I've got mine.
I was like you, Stu.
I'll tell the story next week.
It's too difficult to pick from, Stu.
I did nothing. Anytime I played football, I was in defence.
Let's
That's
wrap
okay.
up the show there.
I reckon you, Vicky, would have belted one in the top corner at one point.
Yeah, I would just be as dopey as Delo right now, and I would just go, "Oh yeah, I'm a forward, not a defender."
Yeah.
Sorry.
We're not all like Fred, are we?
No, exactly. Anyway, that was my football topic.
Thank you very much, Jim. Bring your shin pads next week. We'll do some shin pads.
I was thinking about shin pads, but the problem is I still wear the very small ones that just literally go in. I just pull them in and pull them out type thing. Mine are about that big, actually. They're tiny.
We got to go. We'll be chatting all night, and I'm sure we'll be chatting for another 10 minutes after the show. Thanks to all the people who have stayed up till 11:45 to listen to Stu's balls and everything. It's been eventful. Now, thank you to everybody in the comments. Thank you to everybody on screen as well. Stay tuned over the weekend. We have got some more shows planned, and we shall see you again soon. Thank you very much, guys.
Cheers, guys.